Hello, friends. I am so sorry we had all these technical difficulties today with my home YouTube live recording studio, but please rest assured that they will be solved and we will send out a notice very, very soon. And it will be rescheduled for sometime early next week. So it is my sincere aspiration that we can all gather again for a real live recording. And I want to just say I did see the chat box coming through and all the messages and the global community that assembled online. And it was just so beautiful and such a warm-hearted experience to see everyone come together in this way. And this is really what I'd like to focus on today. We are being instructed by our public health officials to socially distance. And I think it's unfortunate that this was the term that was arrived upon, social distancing. I think it's a real misnomer. We're being asked to physically distance, but one of the wonders of the modern world is that in the face of physical distancing, despite our physical distancing, we can actually all socially connect. And I think many of us are feeling even more socially connected and more of a urgency to touch in with our friends, our family who may be spread around the globe. And we just saw this afternoon this global community spontaneously assemble for the live YouTube, which will occur next week. And so I think that that's another exemplar of this important social connectivity that can help provide some um, strategy for dealing with and addressing the kind of adversity that we are all facing today. So I'd like to spend a little bit of time first talking about ways in which we can reframe what we're being asked to do to socially distance, to spend time at home. Because when we engage in those kinds of behaviors, we're doing it not just for ourselves, we're doing it for the sake of others. There are people who we know are more vulnerable to this terrible virus, people who are older, who have various kinds of pre-existing health conditions. And so we minimize the likelihood that we become viral vectors when we spend time at home, when we physically distance. And that is an act of generosity and compassion for others. And so when we are feeling constrained, when we're feeling confined by the mandate to physically distance, it's helpful to think about how we can be benefiting others while we are engaged in physical distancing. So today, I'd like to do a little bit of practice around this and also around the quality of appreciation, which is so important at this time. Appreciating so many of the people who are keeping things going, so to speak, who are on the front lines, people who are first responders, our healthcare providers, but also people close in, people who are part of our own networks, people who may be delivering groceries to our homes, people who may be picking up the garbage, delivering the mail, all these people who are still carrying on their functions, people who are delivering packages, which I think many of us are getting more frequently than we might otherwise. These are all really extraordinary people who are taking risks by being out in the world to provide the functions which we all depend upon. And so let's spend some minutes together practicing, where we can practice both compassion and appreciation, which are two qualities that scientific research actually shows can help us change our brains and increase circuits which are important for positive emotion, for taking the perspective of others. And also, amazingly, scientific research shows that it not only affects our mind and our brain, but it also affects our bodies. And it affects our bodies in ways which actually impact our immune system. And who knows if these practices may or may not have any impact on how the virus may actually operate biologically in our bodies. But the fact is, it's not going to hurt. And there is every reason to believe that it may actually be beneficial. So with that as a little bit of an introduction, let's all find a comfortable and upright posture. Not too tight, not too loose, but it's a posture that can support ourselves, where we can stay awake and present, and we can leave our eyes open or closed, whichever is most comfortable. And let's begin by bringing our awareness into our bodies. And simply noticing whatever sensations may be present. No need to change any of them, to try to fix anything, but simply to infuse our bodies with awareness. And whenever we begin a period of practice, however short it might be, we like to remind ourselves that calming our mind and opening our heart is beneficial not only for ourselves, but for all the others that we touch, either directly or indirectly. So let's spend a few minutes leaning into this motivation and seeing if we can find this altruistic motivation for our practice. And now let's envision the instructions which are all being given globally to remain at home, to maintain physical distance, to minimize our physical contact with others. And let's sit with the possibility that these actions are also not only beneficial for ourselves, but for others that we are protecting through our actions. And many of us know others who are vulnerable. They may be vulnerable because of their age. They may be vulnerable because of their health conditions. And let's bring one or two of these people into our minds and our hearts. And let's cultivate the aspiration that they be protected, that they be safe, and that they be healthy. We can use a simple word or phrase to say to ourselves in our own mind to help us form this aspiration. May you be safe. May you be healthy. As we hold this person or persons in our mind and our heart. So let's spend a few moments holding one or two people that we know who are in this category of being vulnerable and wishing them safety and good health. And we can do this for one or two people, and then we can simply rest and be aware of whatever sensations or thoughts or feelings may arise as a consequence. May you be safe. May you be healthy. If you find your mind wanders, it's lost, simply bring it back to the present moment. Now let's turn to appreciation. Appreciation is the recognition and enjoyment of the good qualities of another person or something else. It's really a remarkable quality, a remarkable emotion that we human beings have, and maybe some other animals as well. And I think appreciation goes on all the time. It often is ephemeral. We often have these little moments of appreciation and they don't get recognized. And now we can bring awareness to appreciation. And let's start by bringing into our mind and our heart people who are perhaps living with us, our spouses, our children, our grandchildren, people who are close to us, who are embedded within a system which is helping us to sustain ourselves in this challenging time. Maybe the person who delivers food, whoever comes to mind. And bring them into your mind and your heart. And simply appreciate who they are and what they're doing. Maybe even picture how you might thank them the next time you speak with them and express the appreciation you may be feeling. So let's spend a few moments together, bringing to our mind and our heart one or two people who are close in our living situation currently, who are engaged in activities which provide some benefit to us during this challenging time. And let's allow this quality of appreciation to emerge. And we can do this again with one or two people, and then simply rest and become aware of whatever thoughts, emotions, sensations may arise. And at the conclusion of any formal session of practice, however short it might be, we always dedicate whatever merit, whatever insight we may have gleaned from this short period of practice. And we dedicate it to the welfare of others, reflecting on how we can take whatever we may have received from this period of practice and actually bring it out into the world to be of benefit to others. One thing that I have found helpful is when taking a walk while maintaining physical distance. When I see others, whether I know them or not, just even with strangers, looking at them, smiling, and saying in my mind, may you be safe, may you be healthy. And then when I see the delivery man, saying thank you, appreciating all that they're doing and the risks that they're taking at this time. So for those of you whose eyes have been closed, please open them. And thank you so much for tuning in. And again, I am so sorry for the technical difficulties earlier today. If you tried to tune in, it was frustrating for me too. But I'm confident we will solve those technical problems, and we'll be back with a live YouTube sometime early next week. And we'll send out an announcement about that. So may you all have a good evening or morning wherever you might be in the world. And thank you for the interest you've expressed in our center and in Healthy Minds Innovations, which is a nonprofit that is associated with our center that is translating the science into tools to cultivate and measure well-being. And we'll say more about that in our YouTube and how we are specifically responding to the challenge of this COVID pandemic and bringing those tools out in varied ways to many communities around the globe. So thank you all so much for your participation, and may you all be safe and healthy. Thank you.